Today we're going to be attempting to answer the age-old question of whether or not you should build a false floor in the back of your canopy. What's up guys? Before we get started, there's not really a right or wrong answer when it comes to this question. So I'm just going to run you through what I think the positives and negatives are around building a false floor in the back of your canopy to hopefully help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so I think the best way to tackle this is going to be to cover all the positives off first and then move on to the negatives second. And the first positive is a big one, and it was almost enough to persuade me to build a false floor in the back of mine. And that's that false floors make it so much easier to mount all your accessories, because you can literally just screw them straight through the floor you've built. Whereas with my system, without a false floor, I've basically got to mount all these individual accessories, so the fridge mounting points, the kitchen bench, the pantry, the second pantry, the drawers, my second battery, all of those things have to be bolted through the metal shell floor of the canopy separately. Granted, with a lift-off canopy, it's not the end of the world, because I can just lift the canopy up, drive the car out, and then I've got access to the underside of the floor to actually put those bolts in. But the minute I change my mind on where I want something to be located, like if I want to move my drawers over maybe 10 centimeters or something like that, I've got to drill an extra set of holes, and they're pretty permanent. So before long, the underside of the canopy starts looking like a bit of Swiss cheese. Second positive to building a false floor is pretty straightforward. And that's that if you build your false floor the same height as the canopy lip, which most people do, it means you can mount your drawers, your fridge slides, your slide out pantries, all that good stuff. You can mount it straight down on your false floor, and it's going to clear that canopy lip piece of cake. Whereas with me, without a false floor, I've had to lift the drawers up on some aluminium box tube just to clear that canopy lip. So we've touched on this third point already, but I think it's worthy on having its very own point, and is definitely something worth thinking about. And that's that a false floor, in a way, future-proofs your canopy fit out and gives you the ability to easily just unscrew all your accessories, change it all around, and then reattach it without doing any long-term damage to your canopy. I don't know about you guys, but I'm always changing my mind about how I want things positioned in the canopy. So if I was able just to unscrew stuff, change it around, then reattach it, I reckon this canopy fit out would change on a pretty much weekly basis. So obviously this is going to come down to you and how you set your things up. If you're the type of person who thinks a lot about your fit out, knows exactly where they want it to stay permanently, then maybe this isn't so much of a benefit for you. But I think for the most of us, the ability just to change things around whenever we like without doing any long-term damage to the canopy is a feature definitely worth considering. Point number 4 is that a false floor is a great place to hide any wiring that you might need to run to various places around your canopy. So if you're planning on putting any power outlets or 12-volt lighting at the back of your canopy, then a false floor might be a great place to hide that wiring. Okay, on to the reasons why building a false floor might not be such a good idea. And the first one's kind of a big one, and it's pretty much the main reason why I decided not to build a false floor in the back of mine, and that's that they add a lot of unnecessary weight. With a setup like this, by the time you start adding batteries and fridges and drawers and pantries and water tanks and all that good stuff, the weight starts to get pretty high pretty quick. If you've got a GVM upgrade on your vehicle, this might not be such a huge concern, but I don't have a GVM upgrade on the Ranger, so keeping the weight down low has been pretty high on my priority list. So the second and the only other negative that I can really think of is that you're essentially wasting the bottom 5 centimeters of space across your entire canopy floor by building a false floor. Now, I have seen people build some pretty clever little trapdoor systems into their false floors to fit things like recovery straps or small bits and pieces under the floor, but for the most part, it's generally wasted. Now, you might be wondering how useful 5 extra centimeters of depth is on the bottom of your canopy floor, and a great example I have is my fridge here sits on the canopy floor itself, so 5 centimeters lower than it would sit if I built a false floor. And the result is that I can easily access everything I need to in that fridge, no issues whatsoever. And I haven't had to go out and buy a fancy drop slide. Anyway guys, that's all my thoughts on false floors for now. Hopefully some of those points have helped you make up your decision on whether you need one in the back of your canopy or not. As I said, there's no right or wrong way to go about this. I decided I didn't need one for my setup, but in saying that, there's still been plenty of times that I wish I'd had one. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.